Welcome to the Black Duck Revival Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Wilkins. I'm excited to have you join me as I speak with a fascinating collection of folks, all of whom have in common that they've made a way for themselves by finding an intersection between thoughtful consideration and the tactile work of getting their hands dirty. This is an examination of intention, capability, and craft. It's where philosophy meets the blue-collar work ethic and where I find real value. Hey, welcome back to the podcast, folks. This week, I am pleased to introduce you to Marianne Nolley, a photographer, digital design artist, fibers artist, my wife, the mother of my children. Really not one of the biggest creative partner I've had, in the last 10, 15 years that we've been together. I wanted her on the podcast this week because, we talk so much about, or I try and introduce you to people that have really kind of created these self-determined lives. And this is the person that I'm doing that with. And she is a fantastic and phenomenal talent and artist in her own right. So it seemed like as we've been discussing this quite a bit. She's started her own business. And as we move into this next hunting season, we will be doing so with her and I both, existing as these kind of non-traditional entrepreneurs, I guess, these creatively driven, exploratory members of society, right? That are kind of doing things our own way. And it's a little weird, but I think very cool and resonant, obviously, for us and hopefully for some of y'all as well. So just anything you've ever seen that I've done, any magazine articles, the logo, the website, tons of stuff on Instagram, that's all because of and through Marianne's creative lens. So if you are a fan of Black Duck Revival, the brand and the entity, then you're already familiar with a lot of her work. And I just wanted, folks to have an opportunity. I talk so much about her on this podcast. She's such a big part of my life that I wanted you to kind of meet her in a more fully fleshed out and kind of holistic way. So I hope so much that you enjoy my conversation with Marianne Nolley. Hey, welcome back to the Black Duck Revival Podcast. This week, I am once again at my home office here in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I am delighted to be joined by one Marianne Nolley, photographer, digital design artist, fibers artist, teacher, educator, mother, muralist, and also my wife. If you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, then you have heard Marianne's name before. I reference her quite regularly as she is a primary force in my life, both creatively, just kind of partnership-wise and everything. And Marianne, thank you for gracing us with your rare presence.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to have you on the podcast this week because, even though this is a very hunting-centric podcast, if you go back to the very beginning, that copy at the beginning of the podcast when it says, join me while I speak to a fascinating collection of folks, all of whom have found the intersection of thoughtful consideration and the tactile work of getting your hands dirty, right? Like this is a podcast about people who use their head and their hands and their gut and their heart and all that stuff, and they just kind of wallow out a specific life for themselves. They're not necessarily following somebody else's game plan. They're not mimicking a rubric, and they're trying to find their own way. And I'd say for as long as I've known you, which is at this point about 18 years, you have fit into those kind of fuzzy parameters, but even more so lately as you have recently like fully stepped out to work for yourself and lead a more self-determined creative life. So I'd love to kind of just talk about a little bit about like we're going to get to what you're doing now and some of these projects you're working on, but I'd love to hear just, like what have you been doing the last 10 years? Like right now you're doing photography, you have stuff in the Sitka catalog, you've got stuff online, some different magazines. You just had the cover of Backcountry Journal, and we've been working in tandem quite a bit, but you're also doing your own thing and very much have your own identity. So yeah, just like I think I know who you are, but why don't you tell me who you think you are?
Okay. I'm going to go back a little further than 10 years, just because something I've realized recently is that for a long time, I was a person who sort of knew what I wanted to do, and always felt a little lucky for that. Like when I decided I wanted to be an art educator, I was relieved, like, okay, cool, decision made.
When did you decide this?
I was in high school, and I realize now in retrospect that decision was very much just influenced by my best friend decided she wanted to be an art teacher, and I really admired her and her art, and I had some really stellar art teachers, and I thought, okay, cool, yeah, I can do this. I like art, but I don't know if I'm an artist. And I realize now something I didn't realize then, which is that in a lot of ways I was a shadow artist. I don't know if you're familiar with that term. But
no, I'm interested to have you expound on it.
So a shadow artist, and if you're more familiar, I might, forgive me, give me grace, but a shadow artist is someone that often places themselves physically very close in proximity to an art form or some creative path that they want to participate in, but for whatever reason aren't necessarily actively participating to their fullest extent in themselves.
So kind of like a dilettante a bit?
No,
a poser?
No, I don't mean it even derogatory. I more mean it like maybe they don't know that they want to be a writer, but they love writing, so they become an editor. Like it's not an active decision. It's not like it's some people never realize that's what they are. But at some point in their life, in my life, there's this like anxiety, like this boredom or frustration, or it can manifest about anger, resentment, bitterness. It just depends. For me, it was frustration. It just seemed like at some point everything I was doing was frustrating. Even though I was good at it, I found ways to look at my life and say like, this stinks.
Wait, hold on real quick. Let's explain what you were doing.
So I decided in high school I wanted to be an art educator, and then I just got it done. I did the thing. I finished school. I did well. I had some fun stuff sprinkled in there where I got to do things that were cool, not necessarily related to art ed, but I did a bunch of cool stuff. Didn't have to pay for college. Like on paper, was living the dream, doing my best work. Even to the extent of like right when I graduated, I went actually with your sister and taught for like 3 or 4 months in Switzerland at the American school in Switzerland. It wasn't paid, but it was like this sort of free opportunity just to go to Switzerland and live there for free and teach art.
Yeah, like in super dope accommodations too.
It was rad. It was a really cool opportunity, and I just said yes to that, and my dad passed away shortly before that. And I think in some ways that catapulted me to be like, okay, just live, do it. Do you want to do it? Do it. 'Cause that was a big shift in perspective for me as well. Just mindset. So
wait, let's explore that just a little bit. So like your dad, who folks in Little Rock, they're probably, a lot of people are probably familiar with his work without knowing it's his work.
Yeah.
But your father was a prolific airbrush artist and kind of creative force in Central Arkansas for a couple of decades. And when we say airbrushing, I think people...
He did T-shirts.
Yeah,
No.
but I mean, like,
He didn't.
People think of, like, T-shirts and hats at the state fair or whatever, which is totally fine and cool, but he was really performing on levels much higher than that, like photorealistic stuff, even whimsical for sure.
He was no Robin Tucker, but yes, he did. He was an artist my whole life, and it
like a working artist.
A working
That's how
artist.
He made a
he was a
living.
freelance artist. It ebbed and flowed as his family did, but he did things that the range was pretty vast. He started doing stuff for like Dempsey Film Group, which is not a thing anymore. You may have heard of Dempsey Bakery. They are the same family in Little Rock. And he did set design. He did stuff for Nickelodeon. He did, this is so long ago, but Boo at the Zoo, which is still a thing in Little Rock, like a Halloween event at the Little Rock Zoo. The entrance used to be that big rock cavernous canopy thing. I don't even know how to explain it, by the carousel. And he and Robin Tucker, another working artist in Little Rock who's incredible, they did every year they would do this installation of like, oh man, it was just, as a kid, it was like the coolest shit ever. It was like a giant witch's mouth that you walk through to get into the Boo at the Zoo. He did, when you see really cheesy signs at like zoos or like water parks, he did those, but like well, so they weren't bad, which they are now. Every time I see them, it's just like itches my skin, like, oh God, that's horrible. And oftentimes what I'm looking at is something he did that has now been painted over with like a paintbrush by someone who just really shouldn't have a paintbrush.
It seems that it was a lot of art that was intended to be interacted with, like on a large scale.
Yeah, and I think that in a lot of ways, like me and my sister have talked deeply about this over the years, I think that was the way that artists pay the bills kind of art. Like if he was creating art that was, like, let's say he grew up in a wealthy family and could just fuck around and do whatever he wanted. Think we curse on this? I'm so sorry. I don't know what his art, I think his art would have looked different. I think he made art that was as much him as he could afford to make. So he got jobs that were weird and interesting, and he made them as weird as the parameters would allow, but they still paid the bills. So yeah, he did a lot of large scale stuff. He did anything anyone asked him to do, he could pretty much do. He did some sculptural stuff. He did signage. He did set design. At some point, though, I think middle school, when I was in middle school, he transitioned and became the director of exhibits at a children's museum in Little Rock, the Museum of Discovery. I guess it's children's museum, but young adult. But so he started doing that, and then he was in charge of, just making rad exhibits, things that, as you said, were interactive. But he was always creative. He was always physically, manually making things. And, not to get too mushy, but he was one of the major, most important influences in my life. He's absolutely the reason that I did art, first, and I'm still doing art. He gave me that permission, I guess. And inspiration, and watching him do that, I thought, I want that to be part of my life. But I made art very different than him. And so at some point, I think being an artist seemed a little too intimidating. Like, I just wasn't sure how I would do that. And I watched him stop doing it. You know, I watched him decide he needed to pay the bills a different way. And I remember, I don't know if I ever told him this before he died, but I remember even thinking, or maybe I did tell him, calling him a sellout when he started working for the museum, because I just thought it was so cool that he was an artist.
Damn, that's some cool shit.
I know. I mean, we came back around if I ever did actually say that to him. And, but yeah, I just remember being really disappointed, and it turned out to be so cool. It was so cool that he did that job, and, he can't get in trouble for it now, but there were several times when, like, he had the keys, so I could just have a sleepover for my birthday at the Museum of Discovery, like a lock-in. All my friends come, and we just slept in the museum and hung out after hours. It was really, it was cool. Me and my friends in high school filmed music videos there, just because we had access after hours. So, I mean, it turned out to be great. But, you know, so I can't ask him about it. So I sometimes still wonder, like, is that what he wanted to do? You know?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you understand now, like, since we're parents, right? Like,
yeah.
Life's full of compromises. And you're talking about a time when there was less, I feel like less kind of broad-based ability for self-determination, right? Like, the internet was still dial-up, right?
Well, and, you know, he didn't have a college degree. So he moved from that job to another museum in New Orleans, and then he moved from there to San Antonio. And so the fact that he was even able to get the jobs at the degree that he was able to get was completely based on his ability and his relationship building, because he did not have the resume as far as, like, education to be able to get those jobs. So I think that he saw an opportunity, and he was like, okay, I'll do this.
Yeah, very, very charismatic dude also.
Oh, yeah, lovable.
But so, all right, so because I know you so well, I can kind of steer this a little bit more than I could with other folks. But so I did want to touch on that, because he's such a huge influence in your life artistically, and I think just kind of ethos-wise. But so you're moving through this, right? You become
an art teacher.
You do that for 10 years.
Yep.
You know, like initially it was kind of like your dream job.
It really was. It's crazy.
I think you did a tremendous amount of good there. And then COVID hit, and you weren't down to be back in the classroom at first
Well, we didn't have childcare either.
Yeah, we didn't have childcare, and it was just going to be like a mess. It just seemed like it was all going to be a mess.
It was the first time, you know, honestly, if we're speaking honestly here, I wanted to leave teaching.
Yeah.
I was over it. It was not serving me anymore. I was, as I said previously, frustrated. And it was the first time that staying seemed scarier than leaving. You know, the 2 years before that, leaving felt just like tumultuous. How could I leave? How can I leave these kids? And, you know, having that, leaving in March, teaching virtual with kids at home, not seeing my students in person, having my seniors graduate, it was like, okay, look, I haven't built a rapport with these new students the way I had previously. I don't feel like I'm abandoning anybody. If anything, I feel abandoned. Like, no one's even asked how we're going to what are our kids going to be doing, you know, those of us with kids. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm out. I don't know what I'm going to do, but anything else will work. I feel like the world gave me... Sometimes, you know, when you move on from something, your pride and your ego gets in the way, and you need there to be something bigger and better that you're moving on to, so that when someone asks, you can say, oh, well, you know, this... People go, oh, shiny, that's great. I think COVID was like, nobody cares. My ego was like, I'll figure it out. I need to go. And then as it do, when you say yes to the thing inside of you and yourself, opportunities, they begin to appear, and maybe they were always there and you didn't see them. You were too distracted checking your email or whatever, but
well, it's also buying a yellow car and then you start seeing yellow cars.
Yeah, but I think it's like whenever I saw this video recently, someone in a program I did sent it out because it fit this weird fishing analogy I made, but it was like, you're not catching fish. Well, the time to catch fish is actually when it's low tide. All the plankton's getting stirred up. So you throw your line in and you just pull them out like crazy, right? If anyone's been fishing, you can think of a time or two when you were catching nothing and then something changed and you're catching all the fish. And in the video, the guy says the old man turned and said, the only mistake you can make during low tide is not having your pole in the water. And then he compares it to the idea that when everything is falling away from you, like it just seems like everything's going wrong, you're scrambling to pick up the pieces, that's when you got to throw your pole in the water. That's when you got to look for, because there's tides in your life, right? Like there's always highs and lows. If you you always compare it to a mutual fund. If you look at it overall, you want it to look like it's going up, but if you zoom in.
Have you been listening to the Black Duck Revival podcast?
Oh, no. Yes, of course. Yeah, I do listen to that. It's great. Have you heard it? It's so good. But yeah, I think you could look at it as tides. That feels more relative to me. I don't understand mutual funds, but if you look at it, it ebbs and flows. It goes up and down. And when it's down is when you got to scoop up all the opportunities. It's when you just have to be ready to catch the thing. You don't know what the thing is. You hold your hand out. And even if what you want is a peach, you don't throw back the apple that you get. Right? Like. All
right. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
You're going down an analogy rabbit hole.
I love analogies.
All right.
Go ahead. Direct.
Well, I'm just saying, I am the host of this show. Yes. If I could ask you a question, please. No. So we kind of get to, a year and a half ago, right?
Okay.
And then there's all this stuff There's some things starting to happen with Black Duck Revival. I'm getting to write some stuff, and there's some traveling taking place, and you had been doing photography on a small scale for a long time before, but you started doing that more seriously, right? So like you started getting better equipment, and you just started to hone your craft.
I got a job that essentially was taking pictures.
Yeah, so you were doing you started doing this like commercial photography, and you were doing social media and digital design for them, which is like in lots of ways you've been doing that for a long time. Every endeavor I've ever had, you've always done like the signage and the T-shirts and the logoing and all that. You did the Black Duck Revival logo with your friend Brianna Peterson. But so it's kind of like you're being pulled into this almost, right? And so folks don't even know, but I actually just paused the recording because I had to take a phone call, kind of a work phone call, and incredibly serendipitous because
it's called synchronicity, actually.
Oh, pardon me. Because it was just an offer or an ask to do for me to write a little something, develop a recipe, and provide the photography for it as well, which means Marianne. We're keeping the lights on, baby. But so I mean, that really does seem synchronicitous. Because we're basically talking about you're putting yourself out there, and opportunities will present themselves if you're kind of open to them and if you're willing to put the work in, right? So that's kind of where we have landed now. I'll just describe it a little bit, but So you have you've been working the last couple of years. You've been doing like commercial photography and social media management, digital design, which you've been doing for years, but you've been doing it kind of more regularly. You've been doing stuff for BHA, Arkansas, local businesses, all the Black Duck Revival stuff, website management. Just like it really kind of, and photography a huge part of this is photography, right? And it's kind of just come to be a realization that you're basically a one-woman creative agency who's what I've been so struck by just dealing with other people is that all these photographers say to me, and this is like kind of me bragging a little bit, but I'm not fishing for compliments on you, and almost every single one of them that has looked at your work has just brought up to me that you have like an amazing eye, right? Which is obviously, that's why I wanted the history of all this, because it's obviously informed by the fact that since you were a little baby, you've been incubated in this artistic mindset, right? And then you fully absorb it, so much so that you are able to instruct others for a decade. And now, if we bring it back to some of your initial comments, now you're kind of able to step, and a little bit more into the creative reins of your journey, right? So you have started M. Nolley Creative, and just tell me what that's about.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you the naming credit. You named it. I probably would have wanted something that was like a cute analogy or something.
Yeah, it would.
What have my business has been?
It would have sounded like some gnome figurine selling store.
Stealing images. Yeah, so I'll say this. Let me say this.
She's
referencing his mom.
She's referencing
his mom
my
says
mother.
That a lot. Sorry.
She says, let me say this.
I want to know. I want to have this conversation again. We don't have to record it in 6 months. I've had the realization lately. It just keeps hitting me like it feels like it's hitting me right in the forehead of like, oh shit, I am where Jonathan was at the beginning of Black Duck. And sort of in a lot of ways having a lot of like so many feelings about that, but like empathy because
a bit more perhaps now. Hey.
Because this is hard. It's really hard to trust yourself. And just go out on a limb. It's really hard to not go back to excuses you've used your whole life. It's really hard to set your own schedule, which is just part of all the other stuff. It's hard to ask for what you... I'll say I have trouble asking for what I need. So asking for what I want, man, that is hard. So... but along with empathy, I have so much pride and just like, I'm so proud when I going through this on my own. I'm so proud to look at like what you have done, because now that I'm sort of in it a little deeper, I can see more of just like all the parts of what you had to do to get there. It wasn't just... Sometimes sending an email is impossible, right? Like it just feels hard and you don't even know what you're asking in the email or whatever. But I just feel like you put yourself out there in so many ways. I can track everything, wherever you are now. I can look back and track to like the step that got you there, right? Like all of it is just one step every day. We've been talking a lot about that. But when you're doing the one step every day, it's really easy to feel like it's not enough. Right? Like, where's the big thing? Where's the payoff? And I just find myself constantly, just almost daily having to refocus and be like, no, that's not the point. The point is to be alive, right? What makes me feel alive? And having to ask myself, like, what makes me feel alive? Not like, I mean, look, my skin being touched makes me feel alive.
You
But
mean
I'm like,
as a
what
fully
burns
fleshed
me
out
up?
person. Yeah.
What makes me wake up and think, now that would be fun? And I've had some moments in the past, I'd say 3 months probably, that have just been like this, that have been so eye-opening that if I hadn't just said yes to a really silly thing that seemed super frivolous, my bad, I did that again. If I hadn't just said yes to something that seemed super frivolous at the time and selfish, honestly, then I wouldn't have had this like self-actualizing moment of like, this is what I want. I want more of this. I want more days that look like this. And those moments I'm like, oh, that's what Jonathan did. Like, that's how he decided. And then, you know, I think to a lot of your guests on this podcast of like, I think, you know, and let me not wax too poetic, but if the point of the podcast, if the point of these conversations, if all conversations is sort of defining your own life for yourself, right? Like, how do I do that? Because it's harder than it sounds, and it's also easier than it sounds, right? Like, it's both. And it's harder when you have kids. I mean, we've got 2 going on 3, right? Like, but the thing that I just keep thinking is, I want our children to learn from us how to be themselves wholly. And the only way for them to do that is for us to do that. Like, we just have to do that. And sometimes that means really failing at something until we figure it out. And sometimes that means, you know, scraping by. I don't think anyone that's doing exactly what they want in life always had high times, right? But like I said, just call me in 6 months. You know, let me look, because I feel like I'm in the middle of it, if that makes sense. Like, I don't feel like I'm on the other side and able to give insight on like, this is.
Yeah, no, I don't think you are either, which is part of the reason I wanted you on here, because
I'm in the dirt.
Well, and I don't think you're going to be, truthfully, I don't think you're going to be out of it in 6 months.
That's fair.
I think in 6 months, you're going to have,
a baby.
Yeah, I think, well, I don't mean just you by your suffering habit, but I think in 6 months, yeah, I didn't think about that. It's going to be hard, but it's, well, I mean, I've said in several different formats, right? Like, I feel like we are the 2 most capable people I know, right? I think you can do it. And I'm not exactly even totally clear what it is yet, but
me neither.
I think that and I also believe that some of your outlook on this is going to change. So right now, I think you're kind of talking about self-actualization, right? And living a joyful life, which in some ways that's like a very Western idea. It's a privilege in some ways.
I would challenge that, but yes.
Well, I'm just saying compared to a lot of other people. I'm not trying to play the suffering Olympics, but I think to me, it's not so much that I'm not chasing joy as much as I'm pursuing, I think, contentment, right? So I think for me, contentment, just, being at peace, kind of feeling all right with myself is there's definitely joy in there. But
I think I'm on the step before you, though. Like I'm saying, I don't think you can find contentment without saying yes to the things that bring you joy. And I don't mean big things. And the reason I challenge the Western idea is that, honestly, I immediately just thought of one of my favorite films, which is Wasteland. I don't know that you've actually seen it, but I talk about it a lot. It's about the artist Vic Muniz. He does the recycling project. Familiar? No?
Yes. You taught it for years. I'm familiar with it.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I didn't know if you'd seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, great.
You think...
We've never watched it together, I don't think. So
no, absolutely we have.
Okay, well, man, I have a really bad memory, so
I'm just saying, you think we've been together this long?
I don't know,
and
man.
I haven't watched something that's that influential to you?
I don't know. It could go either way on that particular subject. Anyway, it's like a perspective thing. It's not that like your life is so good so you have joy. It's that you choose to live your life, and that, like living your life, not living the life you think you're supposed to live or not living your life for someone else. The act of choosing to live your own life, like I guess that's where I'm at, is like realizing that possibly I wasn't so clear on what that looked like, if that makes sense. Like, what does what am I supposed to be doing?
So what do you think, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, okay, right? Because this
whole thing is the spot, but go for it.
Because we're still very like ethereal right here, right? We're still like up in the clouds. So I want to get back to what you're doing, because like this isn't just all about finding joy, because we have responsibilities, right? We have a house, we have children that enjoy being fed.
They do like to eat.
They want to tweet.
They want cheese. It's bad, man.
I want cheese. I want those little square things with the hole in the middle.
In it.
Right?
Freaking sleuth. I don't know.
Yeah, you do. There's a lot of figuring out what they're talking about, because they don't say cheese it.
Some of them are better at it too.
It's so esoteric, man. But yeah, so you've repeatedly talked about for the last couple years, you talk about how photography, you almost kind of like rediscovered it, right? And it was always something that you engaged in, but you almost engaged in it functionally. And now you're able to really put yourself into it, and your interpretation of composition and texture and light. To me, it's so interesting because you're coming at it from, and we should probably inform people about this. So I referenced it in the beginning and said fibers artists. For a long time, so your sister is an artist as well, your younger sister, and she is a
ceramic artist.
2
teapots.
There you go. But you also, I'm going to say you engage in really sculpture as well, primarily. You had been doing that. It was like fibers.
I am not. I that's the one art class I think I got a C in with Professor Massey. I did poorly in sculpture. I'm not 3D, but I will say texture. Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Well, but I mean, describe that. So you're taking like human hair and you're weaving it into
Okay, so I would
yarn.
say there's two things that are most important to me when I'm like making something artistically, and it's process and texture. And process is because I like something that has multiple steps so that I'm not committed to the first thing I do. So I loved printmaking, and I think I would have liked ceramics, and I know I would have liked photography, but those were the two most expensive classes to take because of the supplies. And so I didn't take them in college, and I'm like still kicking myself because now that I literally can't find a film class to take.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing.
But if I, it's like how I used to do the cut paper posters. Mm-hmm. So when I showed those for this, I can't even remember what it was called. It's like a sophomore something review. I don't think that's what it's called, but it doesn't matter. They at first were like, that's great, but we've seen that a million times. And it's because they thought it was digital. They didn't know I was hand cutting the paper. They thought it was like vector graphics, which is like Illustrator, just cutting shapes out and layering them, which is also really cool. And I love doing that as well. But it's like, I think that if I had taken a film class that I developed film, like my idea of photography would just be more informed. I guess I kind of feel like
that's what I was about to reference. That's what I like so much about it, because especially with something like photography that there used to be a much higher barrier to entry for it,
sure,
right?
Absolutely.
And so now kind of everybody has these little supercomputers in their pocket. Everyone's a photographer, right? If you get on Instagram,
right,
there's all these programs and whatnot. And so much of that is focused on technical ability and manipulation and really understanding the editing software.
Which is 100% where I have had to catch up.
Yes. But where the thing that you can't teach is what you already had in spades, like 20 years of.
Sure. Yeah, no. And I'm not even saying that like, this is where I'm at. Like it's not changing. So, but it's sometimes, it's the thing that probably creeps up when that little voice is hanging out and trying to scare me or intimidate me. It's the voice saying like,
that's your imposter syndrome.
But everyone has it, right? And
Sure.
so what I feel like the past, I'm going to say 12 weeks, I've been working on, because I've literally been in a 12-week program for creativity, is making, I don't want to say making friends with the voice, but like, here's some room, voice. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. You can hang out, but you're not in the driver's seat anymore, right? Like I know I can't make you go away, and I understand that fear is fear is necessary for survival, right? If we get down to the gritty, but it's like, I think there have been a lot of time, not a lot, but I mean, there have been enough times in my life where the fear was the thing that kept me from taking that chance. And so now I'm just saying, I see you, I hear you, I acknowledge you exist, but I'm still going to do this thing.
You ever hear that quote? And this is obviously applicable to anyone on the gender spectrum.
Correct.
But
okay.
Most men lead lives of quiet desperation.
I've heard you say it. That's
Dude,
the only place I've heard it.
It's super, super evocative for me, because that's really all the good stuff, all the best stuff I've ever really gotten my hands on or got to experience involved me being uncomfortable or fearful or terrified and doing it anyway.
Right. You didn't let it drive the car. Like, it was there. It didn't go away because you were doing the thing. And I think that's what people maybe don't even see or understand. And it was so easy for me to say this to my students. And then it's like, okay, well, say it to yourself, right? Like, you think that these people that are successful are doing the thing that you are deeming successful in that moment, because the goal always changes. If I look back at 12-year-old me and say, hey, this is what I'm up to, here I am, 12-year-old me is like, holy shit, that's rad. That's your life? I mean, when I run into former students and they're like, you're not teaching anymore, what are you doing? And if I just say even just like an ounce of what I'm doing, they're like, that's amazing. You left your career with chill. It's like this, like, oh, wow, you can do that. It's like everyone sort of just wants permission to be scared and do the thing they want to do. And you'll be scared doing it. And I think I'm sort of realizing, like, it's okay that I am scared doing this, but I'm still doing it. I'm still going to do it. And I'm not going to not be scared. I'm just not going to let that be the reason I don't do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm behind that 100%. Yeah, I think honestly, I think it's because, we're talking about both of us trying to lead these intentional, self-determined lives, right? And I think for our kids to really get that from us, not just through us talking about, follow your dreams.
Sure.
Not just, but to like really.
It's hard to believe that when you're watching someone not do it.
Yeah, to really absorb it, like in their pores, like through osmosis. What we've really embarked on here is we have traded stability
Absolutely.
for creative satiation, right? For freedom, for our artistic and creative and exploratory freedom, the freedom to explore our own ideas, our own thoughts about things, our own intentions.
The freedom to time.
Yes. And like you said, there's a lot of scary stuff that comes from that. There's a lot of, very much so that there's, everything looks, just everyone's life looks.
Instability can throw you off balance. It can make you feel like you're going to fall down. But the truth is, if we're just speaking from experience, I don't know. Have we even fallen down yet? I feel like we've gotten so close, or maybe we did. I don't know. I mean, if I'm looking back, I've felt a lot of times where we were going to fall down, but we never hit the ground, right? Things never fell apart. They were hard, but I feel like once you go through so many of those, that was hard, the resiliency, your ability to withstand the next hard thing, it's just grows so much. And I will say too that, one thing, a tool that I use a lot is just immense gratitude. And I when I'm starting to be we just wish I could, whatever that thing is, right? I wish I could get a new camera. I wish I could get this lens. I wish I could have whatever the thing. Everyone always, you're always wishing for something, right? There's always something shiny that would be nice to have. I just stop and I'm oh man, look at what I have though. I have so much. I have more than I need. I have so much more than I need. And I can look at each of those things and I can see our fingerprints on it, right? I can see the thing you built with your hands from the wood that you pulled out of your tree. It's everything is just so tied up with story. Our kitchen bar is your great uncle's, what is it? I mean, it's I don't know.
What are you talking about?
The wood in there, the mantle. Isn't that in the kitchen? With the coffee pot.
Yeah. The the coffee nook.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wood came out of my great uncle Hiram's shop, and then I split it.
Right.
And turned
and
it
I remember
into,
you doing that, and I remember honestly when you were doing it being this is crazy. This isn't going to work. And then it was this is cool. And everything is always sort of in progress, but it makes it when you get to the other side. You used to say this when you did landscaping, but it was you can either plant a tree and watch it grow, or you can afford to buy the full tree. And I think we might always be people that have to watch it grow, but isn't that sort of part of the beauty of it? It's being able to send our kids to your mom's and have me retile the backsplash in the kitchen by myself, mostly. It felt good. It was rewarding in a way that having someone come in and do that and having earned the money to pay someone 5 times what it should have cost, right?
Well, I mean, maybe not what it should have cost, but what it cost us.
What it cost us, sure.
I mean, you did that whole deal for $30.
Absolutely.
And looks great. Yeah, and you get little micro doses.
Satisfactory.
Yeah, and you get micro doses of that, right?
And I have to work a job that I hate, that makes me miserable, in order to be able to afford to pay someone else to do that. And I really constantly, I'm just that's the difference. I just have to sometimes put more of the elbow grease in. But if I'm really honest, I don't resent that because I prefer it. I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do all of it. That's my problem. That's why I don't know what I want to do, because I want to do everything. I mean, right? I feel like you can relate to that on some level. Part of my issue is that I could potentially do any of it.
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't mean I should.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with a matter of refinement, right? Which comes from the creative process. So, yeah, I mean, I'm stoked to just see you really embark on it. We've got some projects we're working on together. I think too, what's important about this is us realizing that, I think we complement each other really well, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to do all of our creativity and working stuff needs to be together, right?
It's nice to have an independent yeah, I think that I can scratch your back and you can scratch mine. And when we're reliant on our own self for the filling of the cup, and then we can just use what's spilling over to help each other, like it's such a better balance. And I can think back to so many times we've been off balance there, but I think that I do also feel like we're in a place where it's like I'm not sort of using you to get my creative I almost said something so inappropriate. I can't think of a bit of my rock song.
Your rock song?
My creative rocks.
Please.
Like I'm not just doing your website or just doing your photography or just doing stuff for you. So it doesn't feel like all of my creative impulses are being controlled by you. Instead, I have creative impulses. I give in to them. I do what I'm doing. And then I can, oh, you need that? Sure. No problem. Here. It's just more transactional, which is how it needs to be to work. Does it? Do you agree?
But it's also like it's
collaborative.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. All right, now I'd like to ask you just to completely change directions. I'd like to ask you some questions. No, let me stop for 1 second. I'll come back to this.
Okay.
So I'm absolutely down. 6 months, a year, whatever you want, man. I'd love to see.
Let's say a year. Let's be fair.
Let's do a year, man. And I'd love to see where you're at with all of this.
Call me.
I will call you, or hopefully I will still be able to access you in person a year from now. But yeah, I mean, you're a great talent and you can do a whole lot of stuff. And
thank you.
I'm stoked to see you just really thrive, trust in yourself, I think, a little bit more. And yeah, all the nuts and bolts stuff, like we will totally figure out, I'm
going to have to let the laundry pile up. That's my resolve. There's going to have to be some piles.
It's all right.
Okay.
I'm capable of washing clothes, not just cooking all your meals for you. But anyway, so kind of to round out this conversation, because we are talking a bunch about the life that we've put together and raising our kids, and something else we've been talking about quite a bit recently, and something that's really, it works for our ethos and the way we want to live our life, and it just in a dollars and cents way, it makes a lot of sense. But that is, feeding ourselves and feeding our kids off of wild game, right? So, we have resolved that that's the protein that we're going to feed our kids. There's a little bit of stuff still floating around in a couple freezers. Like we found some chicken wings, which I'm not messed up about saying that I grilled up and put hot sauce on and ate the other day. But yeah, primarily, we're eating turkey, elk, venison, or elk is venison, elk, whitetail,
mountain lion,
black bear,
fish,
mostly catfish and crappie and brim. What else we got in there?
Soon to be trout.
Oh, yeah, trout, because you've really kind of fallen in love with fly fishing. We got a couple other things floating around there, don't we? I said wild boar. We got wild boar in there.
We got so much pork. Oh, my God, so much pork.
And hey, I think that's mostly what we're working with. But, we got tons of it, right? And it's, it's a healthier form of protein, and
I would argue too. It makes me feel better.
Yeah,
their lives were happier.
Well, and there's a story to it, right? Like every time I pull some of that wild boar, because I know which one was which. I've got them separated on shelves. Like I know this is the one because you killed one last fall. I know this is the one that
we should do that again.
We can do it.
Jesse,
those loins in there right now. Those are from your. That I've got defrosted.
When I went to that girls' cabin trip and got to bring those,
felt like a G, didn't you? Oh man,
and they were delectable too. It was I looked around and everyone's literally just sucking their fingers, and I was like, yes. I don't know. I felt I was conniving, I don't know why, but it was because so powerful.
Well, it's incredibly validating, right? I've talked about how one time I brought a deer home back when we lived in that yellow trailer. And it was that second deer I ever killed.
I think I remember
that doe. and I'd thrown it on the tailgate of the little Tacoma there and just driven down the hill where we lived. And I called you out, and you came out, and you were like, "Ooh, baby!"
I love a doe too, man.
Incredibly country, like out there on the porch of our little.
I have so many
trailer.
fond memories of that country ass living we did, like underwear skinning raccoons. You know?
Yeah. No, we
squirrel hunting. Oh, I want to squirrel hunt this year so bad.
I mean, nothing's stopping you. It's squirrel season right now.
No, it's too damn hot. I'm not eating squirrel right now.
No, it's squirrel season. You can go out there in the woods. It's only 100 degrees.
Yeah, but they got
ticks and chiggers.
I'll wait, but I will go. But yes, no, it's nice, and it's cool to see your children like snacking on bear.
Yeah, or eating like a big goose leg.
Yeah,
their relationship with these natural processes is so different than mine was. Their understanding of the world, the lens that they view the world from, is so different because they've had that regular exposure to that stuff. And
they're so interested in, I mean, it has just, I feel like it's like such a door opener for just like so much science and like naturalism. Like they just want to know all the things. They have so many questions that I don't think they would necessarily even come up with if they didn't hold the geese you brought home in their hands before you showed them how to, pluck it. Like they do the steps, and they know so much about it. They know, they're calling, I mean, not very well, but they knew how to put the turkey call in their mouth, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, cause they're emulating what they see. Right. And they will put value in the stuff that we put value in. And so they know that I put value in making critter noises. Yeah. And I mean, it's like someone who likes baseball, like they're out there playing catch with their kid.
Well, it's the reason I did art.
Yeah.
100%. I wanted to hang out with my dad. I mean,
yeah. And so like kind of my hope is that we raise some like really cool, strong, artistic, kind of feral.
They are feral.
Children.
No, they are, but they are. They already are cool in those ways, and they're very multifaceted. And I appreciate that they are already so capable, and I can see them. Just the wheels are always turning, And I think that's because of exposure. I think that it's because of us, and that's validating too. Because it's not like they're missing opportunities because we don't have the stability of like a 401k. Although I do still have my 401k.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I often just look and think we're not actually missing anything. And I have lots of friends who are still in the game, and I'm telling you, we're not missing anything. The world as we knew it is imploding. And I kind of feel like we got out in time to like be really badass walking away while it blows up behind us.
Well, I mean, let's not romanticize this too much.
I'm romanticizing.
We all got to, we all got to pay the tithe at some point.
Yeah, sure. And we still have to scrap down and do. I mean, we do the dirty jobs. We do the jobs other people don't want all the time. I'm not saying we don't work hard. I'm saying we're not tied to a system that never appreciated us anyway. And it's so freeing, like, in ways that I could wax poetic about forever, but all the times that it's scary and unstable, it's more oftentimes I can just think, oh, well, at least I'm not blank, right?
Yeah, I don't want to burst your bubble, but I think I've come around to the conclusion that you can only escape the system.
We're still part of the system, but I mean, in the ways that we value, I feel like we're kind of not.
Yeah, maybe so.
I still shop at Amazon. I'm embarrassed to say, but put it out there. Yeah. I'm not perfect. No. I'm not perfect.
Regularly.
Yeah.
Dude, when the UPS guy,
oh stop!
The UPS guy talks some trash about. I guarantee you, they know your name. It's on every package.
I'm joking.
I haven't seen a package come from me in a long time.
You get stuff from Sitka.
Yeah,
you get duck calls.
Yeah,
Whatever,
you're right.
It's fine. You're fine.
Anyway, so
What were you going to ask me earlier? Because now I'm just...
Oh, I don't know why. I just had this lame question. I was going to say, what's your... but I know the answer, but what's your favorite wild game to eat?
You know that.
Fried rabbit?
Yeah.
I rarely even have it anymore.
I know. That's why I want to go squirrel hunting, because isn't the season the same?
No.
Oh.
Squirrel season runs from
squirrel season's longer.
Squirrel season is like middle of May until like middle or end of February. There's like a break of basically March and April in there because they breed twice a year. So they give them one breeding cycle without being shot at to just keep the populations thriving. But rabbit season is a winter thing. So that'll come in like November, maybe like November, December.
So there's overlap.
January.
I could like hunt both at the same time.
Yeah, but like, I guess you could, if you know what I guess would be the perfect scenario would be if you had a field environment with thick edges. So like where we went to do that
what
thing,
I'm picturing.
That'd be a ton of walking. And I would suggest you have like some briar britches or like chaps or something on. But yeah, you could hunt some of those open areas around those moist soil units there. And then if you wanted to walk a half a mile and push on into the tree lines where there's oak and pecan trees between the bayou and those fields, you could probably shoot big fox squirrels and stuff.
Oh man,
But those fox squirrels, I think the fox squirrels aren't quite as good.
No, I'm just remembering how much fun. I just love squirrel hunting.
Yeah, it's like just creeping around the woods. It's like being a kid with a BB gun. I still encourage you to shoot that 20 gauge.
No, I want a 22.
Shooting with a 22, man, but I'm telling you, the number of squirrels I started bringing home.
We'll see. I'll go out a few times with the 22, and then if it's like, okay.
I got that.
I'm a one-hit wonder.
Yeah. You're a pretty good shot. But, I got that. What are they? I forget what the brand is. It's like this very common.
I need like a youth shot.
New England Arms. Dude, that's what I'm saying I got. It's a break open.
How do I not know that you have that?
I don't know. I probably bought guns when you didn't know about it. But no, it's a New England Arms. Just break open, single shot, 20 gauge.
All right. I'll shoot it and see.
Short.
I'll see.
It's a short stock, short barreled gun. It would fit you perfect.
Could I do that for waterfowl?
I wouldn't shoot a single shot for waterfowl. Okay. I would have, but
because you
got that.
I needed.
You got that pump 20 gauge. Really, what we need for you is a appropriately sized semi-auto 20 gauge. Is what I think you would like best. I will say,
when I shot your gun at that one goose hunt, it's different when you're shooting at something and you have adrenaline than when you're just
you don't
target
feel
practicing.
That was not my gun. If you had shot my gun, you wouldn't have liked it near as much.
You shot other guy's gun.
You shot that Benelli, that
You're
semi-auto. Right. If you shot my pump 12 gauge,
I would have never. I'm not doing it.
Like grown men that are used to shooting, if they ever shoot that, they're like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, I know.
And I'm just so used to it. But it's like a blunderbuss compared to you know what a blunderbuss is?
I feel like I could just take context clues. No, I don't know.
It's like it's like an old rudimentary rifle of yore.
Okay.
Just a blunderbuss. It just kind of
got it. Throw some stuff.
I believe
out.
It's the ones that had like the trumpet shaped end on the barrels, and it would just kind of throw shot out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just thumps you. But yeah, I've just gotten used to it because that's all I've ever shot. Even
that's why
though
your shoulders all messed up.
No, there's other reasons for that. that's working for a living. But anyway, so man, why don't we tell people where they can follow your work, see your work, and keep up with what you're doing, and tell them about the services you offer there at Nolley Creative.
Sure. Well, on Instagram, I am m.nolley.creative.
Nolley spelled
Nolley. So M as in mother, Nolley Creative. That is also my website, but my website is so new that it's difficult to come up and search. So please, if you're out there, just keep Googling my website. So it's a result. But yeah.
And through that website, they can see
all history of sort of clients I've worked with, you can click on photos. The front page is photos and then design work. So if you click on photos, you can see examples of the portrait work, lifestyle, catalog, food, branding, macro, just all the things that I do and have done. And then some past work that has been published. And then if you go to design work, you can see some work that I've done there as well. I mean, that runs the gamut. I don't know. I feel like I've done it all.
Yeah, that's
of it.
like digital stuff, T-shirts, logo design,
any
website
sort of
design,
branding,
posters,
gifts.
I mean, you've done candy bar wrappers. You did the entire line for that chocolate company. So that was like candy bar wrappers and different boxes of chocolate and stuff. I mean, you've designed stuff for tons of local businesses. Everything Black Duck Revival
I think I've made a poster for damn near every musician that existed before 2012.
Yeah. Lots of Jonathan Wilkins posters.
Almost everyone.
T-shirts, lots of T-shirts.
Yeah. I think the thing that I'm most into right now, though, is photography and website design. I just something really satisfying about the start to finish of a website. And then I just like taking photos. I like being out there going and
like being outside a lot.
I prefer being outdoors. I just like natural light is like the light I want to use, period. But I don't love food photography. I can do it, but it's not as fun. But yeah, textures. I just like textures, and where you find those mostly outdoors.
Yeah, which is why I like a lot of the food pictures that you take for me. You take them outside. Yeah. Which is, I mean, that's fine, man. That's
always carrying a plate around in the yard.
Your signature style. Well, anyway, Marianne, thanks so much for joining me on.
Hey, I was here.
On this episode of the Black Duck Revival podcast.
Absolutely.
And thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again for listening to this entire episode of the Black Duck Revival podcast. As always, it's produced by me, Jonathan Wilkins, and Brian Sachs. So we finally reached the time where I can start releasing the dates and experiences that we'll be offering at Black Duck Revival this season. So that's going to fire up this fall. We're going to start a little bit earlier. We're going to start before hunting season with some cooking classes. We're going to have some deer butchery and processing classes offered as well. These are going to be much more affordable. It's an afternoon. It's not a 2-day hunt with 3 nights of accommodation and all that other stuff put on there. So this is just much more accessible, especially if you're a local person and you want to get some hands-on experience with some of these processes that, frankly, if you don't have a mentor, this stuff can kind of be hard to get a handle on. So I want to do like some hands-on instruction. I really want to utilize that space for more than just hunting, even though that's kind of originally what it was put together for. We're doing these fishing trips out of there. We're still doing the waterfowl hunt school experiences, but we're also going to do some processing classes. We're going to do some cooking instruction. We're going to do something, it looks like, with Philip Martin of King Arthur Flour. That's going to be phenomenal. He's definitely one of the best and most well-respected bakers in these United States. So go to the website. Pretty much every week for the next several weeks, I'll be adding more onto that experiences page. So we're going to have some waterfowl hunt schools on there. If you go to it now, you'll find those. I expect those to fill up quickly. And so if you're interested in that, go ahead and sign up for that. Right away. Like I said, also there'll be some cooking classes. There will be whole animal butchery classes. I think we're going to do like some sausage making and charcuterie classes. So lots of cool, fun ways to interact with Black Duck Revival. Come up to the old church, spend an afternoon, spend a weekend, and really kind of invest in yourself, your capability, your ability to just be a fully involved and participatory member of your own existence in your life there, right? So go to the website, that's blackduckrevival.com for all the information on that. Keep up with me on Instagram at blackduckrevival is the handle. We are going to start posting weekly recipes that will be on Instagram as well as the website so look for that. A lot more video content is also coming in the coming weeks, so please look for that. And as always, I always ask you guys to help me out with this, but please, if you're enjoying this podcast, please post about it on social media, share it with a friend, share it with an enemy, share it with an acquaintance, share it with whoever you think might really appreciate the content that we're putting out and the conversations that we're having. And if you have not done so, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify, whatever platform you prefer to listen to this podcast on. And if you take a few seconds to write a written review, that helps out tremendously as well. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.